Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. And the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Go back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it is Monday. Last week really sucked for the S&P 500, and well, I mean, things look okay for now, but I'm a little concerned, guys, because this could either be like a huge meltdown rally and everything's fine, or like the end of the world. I don't know. Maybe I'm overhyping things, but well, let's come and look at the charts to show you what you mean. This 2-day drop. It's not like the biggest 2-day drop ever, but it's up there. Okay, and this was ugly on Friday. To close the week like that is very, very negative for sentiment, and it definitely, when you go and you read Reddit, everything else, people were triggered. I tell you what, they were concerned about their portfolio. I'm concerned about my portfolio, my long-term stock portfolio. Anyways, we're a little bit lower here in the S&P 500, but I don't know. Maybe they're overdoing it. Maybe we bounce back up. Over here in the treasuries, I kind of, you see on Friday, they're actually a little bit up. Every time that I went and I read an article, and they were like, stocks are crashing because interest rates rose again on Friday. And I'm like, I had to go back and check my charts. No, they didn't rise on Friday. And now here in the overnight session, they're pushing back really aggressively here. Concerns about Chinese lockdowns? I'm not sure. Or maybe it's just they've gone too far. Or maybe there's this whole thing about that they're going to do a 75 basis point hike isn't actually going to happen. I don't know. But that's kind of where this is going right here. Then you come over to oil. Oil does not look good at all. That's a little ugly for oil. Well, I mean, obviously we're super high in oil, so I think they'll live. But natural gas, maybe actually spiking a little bit here. And then gold and silver are getting hammered. Copper's down. So copper again, concerns about global slowdown from China? Maybe. Bitcoin succumbing below 40K and pushing to new lows so soon. But we got like down here to 3,500 before like the Bitcoin. Well, I don't know. That break right there might cause a lot of technical analysts to be like, anytime you get a higher, lower. But does it really actually predict anything? I'm not so sure. But I've kind of concerning that Bitcoin continues to oscillate back and forth across this 40K, right? But then the dollar you can see here above 101.5. That is, dollar is getting so strong. And by the way, let's just check the yen, because the yen has been doing a lot of stuff lately, right? Well, yen has been okay today. So it's not the yen that's driving them. Coming back over here, back to the synthetic dollar. I mean, the euro's going a little bit. Maybe we could say that there's a bit of correlation with the euro. But I'm going to bet you that if you looked at the Chinese dollar, then you would see a really extreme divergence. So that's where we're at. We do have, let's see here, Chicago National Activity Index at 6:30 here. Or should I say 8:30 Eastern Time. Dallas Fed Manufacturing Business Index at 8:30 and 9. Bank of Canada's Governor Macklem will be speaking. We also got some bill auctions today, 6 months and 3 months. Oh, they splitting out the auction and the bid to cover. I've never seen that before. So that's basically our setup today. When I look at the treasury here, it's back to, I don't really want to trade that. It's really, really weak. super weak liquidity again. I'm not a huge fan of this super light liquidity. I think that I could probably come in here and go short the micros, but look, they're giving us a huge spread in the micros. I don't know if any of this makes sense. Well, we do have news at the bottom there. It's not a significant piece of news, but there could be one that moves us. Let's just read through, just while we're waiting, I'll read through Twitter here. By the way, I don't know if I said good morning to Octavius. Good morning, Octavius. Exclusive. Twitter set to accept Musk's best and final offer, says sources. Reuters reporting. Twitter is poised to agree to a sale to Elon Musk for around $43 billion in cash. The price of the chief executive of Tesla has called his best and final offer for the social media company. People familiar with the matter said Twitter may announce the 54.20 per share deal later on Monday once its board has met to recommend the transaction to Twitter shareholders, the sources said. It is always possible that the deal collapses at the last minute, the sources added. Musk, the world's richest person, according to a tally by Forbes, is negotiating to buy Twitter in a personal capacity, and Tesla is not involved in the deal. Twitter has not been able to secure so far, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's big news. You know what, man? If that's all there is to it, I'm gonna be shocked. I'm shocked that he pulled it off that easy. Okay, here's the news. So we got 0.44 versus an expected 0.45. Apparently the Chinese government is gonna do a press conference. Let's see here. Forex Live says the JPY is the strongest and the Australian dollar is the weakest as the North American session begins. Oh my. Brannigan Barrett says, don't overthink this Bitcoin trade. 39K support is now gone. Its key monthly low. Volumes on break lower suggest it's a significant break. Expecting 3,600 to trade relatively soon. In parentheses, today. And there's some responses to that. Wasn't he going long them just earlier? Well, it just kind of shows you these breaks of these levels. It doesn't really mean all that much. I see macro and technical traders convinced they know what's going to happen next in the market. The only thing I'm convinced of is that I don't know. Yeah, you know what, Anthony? I am totally with Anthony on this one. I see a great deal of uncertainty in this market. I'm not even sure I'm not even sure I understand what is causing the markets to move. The S&P 500 in particular, I don't get it. I mean, there's some worries out there, but I don't see what's going on that's worthy of one of the largest 2-day losing streaks since COVID. Like, what? Why? I don't get it. Admitting we don't know what's going to happen is an edge. I'm not held to any ideas be covenant arguments. Yeah. Now, to that point, though, I mean, that aside, here in the treasuries, I think the treasury is very vulnerable to some sort of a short covering rally. We certainly, I think, already saw some of that here this morning in the overnight action. I'm not so sure how I feel about this range here. Maybe, though, if they come back down to the 16.5, maybe it would be worth trying to mess with. Oh, there you go. That's an event worth watching. Edge Clear is going to be doing your best stories from the pit. Love it. Okay. Nassim talking about Russia. I'm wondering if Nassim Taleb is autistic or something, because when he gets on an issue on Twitter, he just, that's all he talks about. And I was kind of looking at that 8.3. Anytime that we get to an even number, I always kind of try to take a reassessment, you know? But I looked at where we were at in the range and I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. Beijing to request mass testing for second district. Also, this spread doesn't look very good, right? I don't think that they were giving me 8.3 when I was looking at it. Oh, actually, no, they were. It was 8.3 and 8.35, wasn't it? Yeah. I guess I could have sold and made $10, but it is just the range, right? Like, they are at the moment still within the range, so trying to go with the momentum here on the range, not necessarily the best idea, right? Even though it could totally break and just go and go and go and go and go and go. We are getting a hint of the volume coming through. You're definitely not seeing the selling. And the S&P 500 is pushing down, right? Is this because of this story? So again, the story was Beijing to request mass testing for second district, says the local media. So everything that I'm seeing in the commodities and currency complexes suggests concerns over Chinese COVID policy right now. Okay. I think that's a pretty good bull run. Just remember the high here from this range is 25.5. That's how illiquid we are today. Ugh. It really is a very illiquid market, isn't it? I mean, they traded at 18.13 here, 12.30 here. Not really any signs of like the market, how do we say, being overstrained. I do kind of wonder what they might do, like push up here and then pivot down maybe is another possibility that they do. We'll kind of have to see on a breakup here what the volume looks like. I feel like, well, man, so something that's going on for me is the kids that are doing an early morning church thing. So I had to go and drive them over to church just before we started here. So it's funny, I got here started at the same time. I woke up at the same time, but like I got a little bit more done, and it feels like I've been up for a really long time. If Jake Gyllenhaal was why are you saying I'm that good looking? That can't be possibly what he's talking about. You know what it was in terms of lookalikes. Oh man. Anyways. Johannes Bartel. Johannes Bartel. No. Where is he? What is his name? Johannes Bartel. Johannes Bartel. He looks so much like me. There are some pictures of him. There are some pictures of him that are just a little bit from the side that it's like, it looks so much like he's so much more ripped than me, of course. We look so, man, there are some pictures where it's like, wait, what? Is that Seth? Oh man. Maybe we should pull up his Instagram. There's better ones on his Instagram. Look, dude, I'm telling you, it's the eyes. It's the eyes, right? We got the same eyes. Tell me you don't look at that guy and be like, are they related? But my ex always told me that I look like a combination of Dr. Crane, like the brother on Sleepless in Seattle, and Eminem. I can see it. Some other people say I look like Lieutenant Stapler from Law and Order Special Victims Unit. Oh, I miss that show. That's a good show. Oh, you're better. Oh, thanks. But you know what though, Roland, I'm really not very what is the word? I don't respond to brown nosing very well. I'm too I don't know. I think it's because I just have the very, very low agreeableness trait. So the instant that somebody starts saying nice things to me, I'm immediately like, they're after something. They're after something. It's not that I'm good looking. I think I'm pretty average looking. But that they must be after something if they're saying that. Well, they backed off a little bit there in the treasury. It's kind of one of those you look at it and it's like, well, okay, 2.82. That's just another chance to go short at the area where we're like, well, maybe we could take profits there. That'd be $10, right? Republican U.S. Representative Jordan says Twitter's deal with Musk is good for shareholders in a CNBC interview. Well, I tell you what, man. If you are not a fan of Elon Musk buying Twitter, or you just generally don't care about Twitter in general, you might want to just tune out everything today, because that's going to be all they're talking about now. That's going to be all they're talking about now. Trading Floor Audio tweets Twitter shares jump 5% on reports it could accept Elon Musk's bid as early as today, reports CNBC. Was it CNBC that initially reported it? The Reuters story seemed to, well, let's see. The Reuters, yeah, I think that it was Reuters that reported it, which is curious. Who gave Reuters this scoop? Bloomberg and Reuters. So let's come to Bloomberg. Yeah. Bloomberg's is a separate wording from Reuters. Twitter is in the final stretch of negotiations about a $43 billion sell to Elon Musk that could rank as one of the biggest ever leveraged buyouts of a listed company, people with the knowledge of the matter said. You're a big fan of Elon making the wokeists sweat? Yeah. Dude, there's going to be some histrionics today, right? Like before it was like, some employees were concerned and there was some whining in the media about it, right? But if Twitter announces that the deal is done, then you're going to start seeing your Facebook friends and everybody on Reddit really go into breakdown mode, When deal is done, Elon is going to post funding secured or something else who knows what he's going to tweet. Did you see the story this weekend was that he was making fun of Bill Gates because Bill Gates was short Twitter. Yeah, it's gonna go to, listen, he's gonna be forced to take a loss on that if this is what's happening, right? Listen, Alon, if you're gonna be in the stock world, though, I gotta tell you, there's kind of unspoken gentlemanly rules about this sort of stuff. So when you take a loss, you're just supposed to take a loss, right? When you take a win, you don't gloat about it. I mean, like you can bask in the glory, but you don't gloat about it. And when you go on TV or Twitter, in this instance, and you start gloating about it, or you're a sore loser the other way, that's bad. That's real bad, right? This is how the Carl Icahn thing happened, right? Because Carl Icahn and what's his bucket, Bill Ackman, right? You remember that whole drama? Oh man, I remember when that happened on TV. I was still working at Goldman Sachs, and that was all anybody was talking about, man. And so what happened was they did a deal, and Bill Ackman was talking about it afterwards. I can't remember if Bill Ackman won or lost. I think it was that Bill Ackman lost and kind of bad talked Carl Icahn. So then when the whole Herbalife thing happened, Carl Icahn was like, oh, this is the perfect time to screw him over. So he did. Because guess what? Herbalife was kind of like a scam. Was like a scam. Right? So Alon, I think you're doing good work here. I'm a little concerned. If you're listening, maybe he watches the stream. He might listen. He might. Every once in a while. Sometimes I'll say stuff, and then I'll see famous people or people in the news media like reflect my opinion, and I'm like, well, did they get it from me, or did we just come up with the same thing? There's no way for me to know. Bill Gates was short Tesla and then called him for dollars for the environment. Yeah. You don't, but man, Elon, you're doing good work on Twitter. We don't need to target on your back, so don't gloat about it, okay? Especially not to Billy. Like Billy's not going to be the kind of person to really be able to do a whole lot for that sort of thing, because he's not like a business investment bank, But yeah, he's got friends. Be careful, Elon. Yeah, that's probably, you know what, dude, it's probably best that I'm not like a top hedge fund manager, person in the news sort of thing. Well, first of all, I don't think I'd be able to do a stream. But second of all, I'd probably piss people off. And then people, like even just doing the YouTube channel, there's people that get sour about the channel and have tried to harass us. But I don't know. We're doing really well on Twitter or TikTok. Doing really well on TikTok right now. Okay. I watched your video about trading the news ultimate guide, and you've mentioned something about certain situations where market orders overwhelm market liquidity. Does that refer to market orders simply outnumbering limit orders and running through all of them? So I don't remember I haven't watched that video in a while, and so I don't remember what I was talking about specifically, but I was probably talking about one of two things. One of them is, like for instance, up here at 26, 25 half, right? Significantly more volume up there than anywhere else. Where's my pen? Let me just highlight it for you guys. There you go. There it is. These prices right here, right? Well, we could see some buying today. Wouldn't surprise me to see them bust through those. And if what'll happen is they'll come up here. Well, one of two things will happen. But when we get up to a price like that, I'm always looking right there at 25. I'm always looking right there at 25 because there's often like absorption on the bid, right? And if you see absorption on the bid, then you got this potential level break setup. Now, the level break setup is 50-50. But if we're in trending action, it's like it wins 90% of the time. It's the most fun trade. And when it's working out, one of two things will happen. One, 2,500 contracts will come through and just totally slam through that, which could happen today. Or these guys pull and they trade through 25 half 26 with only like 500 contracts, and then you start seeing stops into 26 half, 27, like they will pull the orders to try and create a stop run to make it go higher, right? So that's, if we're getting trending action or it's like big news sort of thing, that's the sort of thing that you will see in the book, okay? But there's another thing that you'll see in the book that you want to be cognizant of, and that is when you start to see large transactions, right? So for instance, we come up through here and let's say that like 6K, let's say that 6K trades at these two prices. Well, you could still see that setup that we just talked about where, they stop out for a little bit, right? But because so many orders went off at this location, that kind of affects the market maker's positioning a lot, right? Basically, anybody that wanted to buy or sell at 25 half, 26 half, if they're all filled, then there's not going to be very many people to put up liquidity in that location, right? So you would think that would be, oh yeah, they want to buy or what, continuation of the trend. But actually what it does is it's just like a hole. It's like a hole in the ground and they will just like fall back into it. So it's not uncommon to see them come up, trade a big amount, have a stop further up, and then come back and settle in that spot. And then you'll get one of those things where like it just goes sideways in that area forever and ever and ever and ever, right? So you want to watch these liquidity holes that form where they're at and try to use them to your advantage, because basically what's going to happen is if it's a trend, it's going to go up. If it's a continuation of a trend, okay, here's the liquidity hole, and then spike further, and then back to the liquidity hole, right? And then it will just kind of sit in the liquidity hole for a while. And then if there's going to be another leg, then once they've been there for, usually it's about 45 minutes in the treasuries. But basically the book has to recover, and then they can have a further up, right? And that's how you get this pattern, right? Everybody knows the, leg, small pullback, leg, right? That actually is the thing. Just because you see a leg like that doesn't mean that it's going to keep happening, but there's a reason that you see that pattern, right? That it has to do with the way that meta orders are transacted and the limitations of the order book. So those are probably the two things that I was referring to. But I'm glad you watched that video, because when I first put it out, I felt like it didn't do as well as I hoped. And that video has some of the best information I can give you guys. I think my best videos are the Trade the News video, the Inelastic Markets video, and the Stylized Behavior of Markets. Those three videos, that's where I'm giving you like this serious information that the rest of the market doesn't tell you, that is really the primary basis of my trading. So to that point, a decent amount is traded at 23 half, and they do appear to have created a liquidity hole here of some degree. I'm not sure if they're going to come back to this 16 half area, but the S&P 500 has since backed off of some of its more bearish movements and is actually moving up right now. Let's recenter some things here. Just take a quick while. We're not quite to the top of the hour, but let me just kind of take a quick skim of the markets. Ooh, corn is moving right now. That's interesting. Corn is moving, has unusual volume, but well, I mean, it's moving down at the moment, but it's kind of in the middle of its range for this session, at least. We are getting more volume in the ES this morning than is usual, apparently. Gold, RTY. Man, those small. If we have, I tell you what, if we have another downside move in equity indexes today, them small cap stocks, it's gonna be ugly. I'm speaking this thinking like, oh, my portfolio is gonna hurt because I have a lot of small cap stocks. Well, yeah, it took some notes as well from that video. Very good, very good. Well, you're on a good path then, my friend. Well, at least, yeah. I wish I could say if you learn X, Y, and you do this thing, you're gonna be successful. I wish it was the case, but trading is hard. It's competitive, right? It's competitive. All I can do is kind of like, like if you were learning basketball, it's like here are the main basketball plays. Here's some drills that you can take, right? That's all I can't guarantee that you're going to make it to the NBA or that you're going to be a championship winner, right? What are you talking about, Giac? Giac, for somebody that is primarily about music, that you've been sticking around for as long as you have, it's great. I appreciate. Oh, I also wanted to thank you about mentioning Hawk's processes. Oh, yeah. So did you go and look that up? I have my book. When I've tried going on the internet, I don't know. There's actually a lot of information out there about Hawk's processes because they get used outside of just finance, right? But that's complicated math there, man. So we'll get into some sophisticated math. What's the biggest misconception about Goldman Sachs? Oh, I don't know. I think the one that bothers me the most is that people don't understand that their investment research arm is a separate group from their M&A and their block trading groups, and they literally aren't allowed to talk to each other. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to what one group says versus the other group. The way that M&A, they basically, the M&A group has to do their own research. So if their research disagrees with the research arm, if the M&A disagrees with GER, that's what we call them, Goldman Investment Research, then kind of makes you wonder, why is it that they don't use the same methods? I searched for a PDF study on that and put my friend who knows math much better than me to at least translate self-exciting process. Yeah. It's kind of on the backlog, but that's probably one of those things that I wish I had more time to go back into to see if I could make some sort of indicator based on that, to try and improve entries or something, but I don't have enough time. What I did last night was I tried to improve. Actually, well, let's pull that up. Where did that go? It's gonna be this right here. No, that's not what that's supposed to look like. I tried making a change to my spread candles indicator, and doesn't seem to be working quite right. Doesn't seem to be working quite right. Thoughts on BlackRock? Well, if I was investing in an index fund for bonds, I would like it to be BlackRock. BlackRock has done better than there was this time when it was PIMCO. PIMCO was the largest, and then what's his bucket did not like quantitative easing. Mohammed El Ran, he's still on TV railing against central bank policy. But basically, because of he was basically wrong about the short term, well, not the short term, let's say the midterm market action, and underperformed. And then BlackRock took off and was the best. And that's kind of how that happened. And then he left PIMCO. So they good. I don't know what else you do about it. I think this whole thing with index funds, the deeper I get into index funds, the more I'm kind of like, there's some problems there, folks. Yeah. I understood the process just as a principal theory, which could help me understand the behavior of the market in certain. Yeah, exactly. And the reason that that was so important in that video was really more as background to why the research evolved the way that it did. Because you would think if you're a retail trader, you would be thinking, well, shouldn't the research that they be doing be okay when there's a double top or a double bottom? Does it tend to create a short term reversal or a long term reversal? Under what situations does it do that and not do that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? That's the sort of research that I think if you were a retail trader, that's the kind of research that we as retail traders kind of start to do, isn't it? Like when we start programming, that's what I programmed. I'm really good at indicator soup, and I traded a couple of price action strategies of sorts, right? Well, why did it go the way that it did? Well, because there was things that they could prove, right? And so they say, okay, we proved this, so then maybe we get this thing, and maybe we get this thing, right? And that led them to understanding the first the self-excitatory processes, but then also wait, there's a large degree of autocorrelation in the order signs. Okay, what's with that? Oh, actually, that seems to be caused by large players, large meta orders. Okay, let's do research about the impact of large meta orders. And then you start to find all of these really, really consistent mathematical properties of that, right? What things that frankly I think contradict a lot of what retail traders believe, especially like the whole idea of support and resistance is like don't fight a large meta order, you know? Tried to make an analogy out of it just as I did when I ran the diffusion model about adoption theory. But yeah, and then you get into the point of like, okay, like the next step beyond that video, because what I gave you was like the key things that's like important for a retail trader to know, right? You get liquidity holes. This can kind of force the markets to oscillate back. That's why when you get a really big move, it gets sucked back up into it. And that's why, you get a big move and then you get another big move. The other big move almost always goes further than the first big move. These sorts of behaviors, we talked about them in that video, right? But the next step of all of that is optimal execution, which is the Almgren-Kris model. I think someday we need to make a video about Almgren-Kris and dive deep into the math. But to be honest, I don't understand the math of Almgren-Kris super. I couldn't derive it. Maybe I could derive it. Maybe I need to go deeper into it and make it so that in that video we can derive it so that I really understand it. But any thoughts on Elon acquiring Twitter? Well, I had some friends asking me about it last week. They're like, is this a reason to buy Twitter? And I'm like, well, maybe, but if it doesn't happen, then Twitter's going to it's going to crater. And it's kind of hard to know what's going to happen. But now it happens, they're going to kind of be like, oh, I should have done it. I shouldn't have listened to this. I should have done it. Yeah, but you would have made money, but you were lucky, right? But my personal feelings about it is I feel like this is too easy. I thought that this was going to be a battle and grind every step of the way. If they announce a deal today, then wow. It's CHRISS. Almgren-Kris. Okay, so what's the difference between the Kris and the comma? So the Kris model is not okay. So the Kyle model is trying to explain the impact that orders have on the market, right? The Kyle model is like, if I'm a market maker and I'm trading against an informed trader, and I see volume coming in with a certain imbalance, how do I modify my best bid and best offer based on the order flows that I'm seeing to account for the probability that there is an informed trader out there? and that knows which way it's going to go. How do I account for that? Okay, that's what the Kyle model is. Okay, and there's other ways of looking at it, right? Like the Kyle model is kind of looking at the individual volume at the time, right? The square root law of meta order impact is kind of taking more of a meso level view of it, right? It's like over the course of a day, if somebody's executing, what impact is it going to have on the price? How much of the volatility can be explained by that one meta order, right? There's other models that take it even further that can explain how market making can actually be profitable and things like that. Okay, optimal execution, Almager and Chris is kind of a different thing. It's kind of like, how do I minimize my impact on the market, right? But the key, here's the key thing to get from Almager and Chris, okay, is that spreading your orders out over time does more to minimize your impact than anything else. And it is more effective than using like a volume weighted or time weighted moving average sort of execution mechanism. That just spreading them out in a certain pattern would resulted in better performance, right? So from our perspective as a trader, what do I get from that? Well, I'm trying to take Almager and Chris a step further, right? So what I'm about to say is not proven, but here's how I base it off of it, is that if I'm a trader and I'm trying to optimize my entry, right? That timing is really important. And what I always would do is, like, right now I'd be long, right? I would have started seeing that volume coming in long, and I'd be like, okay, it seems like there's a trend going in, and then I would trade it up at the 24, and then what would happen? I'd be stuck in 24 in the liquidity hole, right? And it'd be better if I instead wait until about 7:15 or something like that, or the other side of the range, for me to try and take another order, because that's going to be when the order book is maybe kind of cleared out. Makes sense? That's how I do it. And then you can add on top of that, there's the whole thing about the square root law of meta order impact, where, it looks like this, your impact based on the number of orders they have. Well, there's a decay time. After it's done, there's a decay time. And the decay time basically ends up being like, this is 2/5 and this is 3/5. Okay. So that's how I try and time things. And it has helped. It has helped. But yeah. Anyways, we were talking about Twitter, right? Well, I guess I already said the important thing about Twitter. The other thing I'll say about Twitter is that actually, I want to go out on a limb here. If Elon Musk, if they announce that Elon Musk is buying Twitter, I'm going to go and apply. I'm going to go and apply for Twitter, I think, because they're going to lose a lot of people, right? They're going to lose a lot of people. I saw them posting job postings here in Utah, though. Like, if Twitter's hiring, I think I want to go work for them, because I really believe in what he's doing. I'm not going to say that I'm like a believer in Elon Musk. I've always been kind of one of those people that have been like, well, electric vehicles is a good thing, but I don't know if that company is really worth what it's going for. That's always been me. Well, we just know, don't short it because we know that the orders have impact. And as long as Tesla is like the most popular stock, people are gonna buy it, right? Because it's got the media attention, not necessarily the fundamentals. But can I predict the media attention? Nah. Like at Tesla and Elon Musk could fall out so quickly. Okay. So I don't want to go and work for Twitter because I believe in Elon Musk, but I believe in free speech, and I believe that Twitter in particular should be a place for free speech. There's some limitations. Okay. People shouldn't there's the difficulty that I think you have with a platform like Twitter is if people just harass you on Twitter and nobody's going to want to use it, right? If you just let the trolls take over Twitter, nobody's going to want to use it. That's always been the battle on Twitter too, right? Is that man, when they zero in on you on Twitter, it's insane. One time, I attracted the ire of the 50 Cent army or whatever it is, like the Chinese, because I responded to one of Hugh Xixin's tweets and it got a couple of likes. And it was like for a week, I would just get all of these tweets thrown at me. Wouldn't there be a mass exodus? Probably there would. I think that there will be. That's why I want to work there. If the issue is that a lot of their technical talent leaves, I want to come in and be one of the people that shore it up, or at least try. I don't know. And maybe they won't want to pay me much. Maybe they don't have need for me. But I'm telling you right now, if they confirm, that's the commitment I'm making right now. If they confirm it, I'm going to go and try and apply for them. See what openings they have. I also believe in him despite being a subsidy guy in his electric car business, but the question you have to ask yourself when applying for Twitter is Elon's project for Twitter profitable? Yeah. Well, that's another big problem. Is I think that Elon Musk taking over Twitter could dramatically change the trajectory of the company for the better. Yeah, I think so. But will that make Twitter a profitable company? Not so sure. We still kind of have this problem in all of social media that it's a lot of resources for everybody to use this thing that's free. And how do you make a profitable business for that without ruining the service, right? Because that's what happened to YouTube, to Facebook, right? Was the things that they had to do to make Facebook profitable as a business kind of ruined Facebook. The things that they did to make it profitable are the reasons I don't use it anymore. Because basically, in order to promote myself on Facebook, I had to pay them money. It wasn't worth it. I want to see Elon take over election voting machine integrity. He could take on anything. That's the thing that's so cool, though. It's guys, everybody rags on the rich because they don't think that people should be able to be that rich. But even if you limit the wealth or reach of those top 1% or whatever, there's always going to be an Elon Musk. There's always going to be that guy, that entrepreneur that is the most famous entrepreneur of the time, right? And has a huge influence. And you know what? A guy like Elon Musk, he can come in and he can take on an issue and make it happen in a way that other people simply can't. In a way that other people simply can't. How did it go with PayPal? Oh yeah, geez. Dude, the PayPal stock is well, how about Netflix? You know what? I want to go on a limb here on Netflix. Okay, don't go out and buy it anytime soon. I think like Fang is no more. Netflix has been kicked out of Fang. Okay, but I also think that they're gonna overdo it. The sellers are gonna overdo it. I what I'm seeing on social media about Twitter seems a little out of kilter with reality. Here's the reality, okay? If Netflix adds another lower tier that has commercials, okay, that costs them nothing and only makes them more money, okay? The plan that you're on today, you won't have any commercials, okay? But maybe you don't want to spend that much and you're willing to watch commercials, then you do that and Twitter will make more money. Or sorry, Netflix will make more money. So everybody's saying, they're trying to like ruin everything. Like they're just trying to ruin the company. No, that move is actually maybe smart. Well, they don't make very good content. Well, they make a lot of content. The amount of content that Netflix makes is actually a pretty wide swath of stuff. And yeah, probably most of it is going to be bad. But you know what? They did Squid Game. Squid Game was good. What's wrong with that? They still got Squid Game. Squid Game's not worth something. So I think that the sellers are going to overdo it at some point. But if you are going to try and buy the dip, here's the big thing to keep in mind is that up until now, Netflix has been marked as a growth stock. And I think the reality is that it is no longer a growth stock. You can't think of it as a growth stock anymore. And that's going to weigh on the stock for a long, long time. I think he could change tides for the web ads because what major companies did was basically threatening YouTube and Twitter because they went so many years unprofitable. They went, make this more family friendly and I will put money there. Well, it's better if they offer a pricier plan without ads. Then, well, no. Like the plan, my understanding is that the plan that you might have today with Netflix isn't going to change. It's just they're going to add a lower tier for people that don't want to pay for Netflix. Basically, what they're doing is they're making a lower tier, and then they're saying, okay, all you people that have been siphoning Netflix from your mom, you just buy the lower tier. Is what they're going to do. Yeah, March 22nd. Oh, PayPal earnings. The PayPal, I don't know what the heck is going. Oh, no, I remember what's going on with PayPal, right? What's going on with PayPal was that they lost their deal with eBay. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Man, it's pretty crazy. The past year, how many have fallen, right? How many big stocks have fallen? There are so many other smaller stocks that have fallen that I don't really think deserved it. But we'll see. We'll see. Those smaller stocks, what they'll have to do is they'll have to put up really good earnings, right? But my understanding is that so far, most of the earnings actually have beaten and have been good. So what's the problem? Well, the Federal Reserve wants to raise rates and China is locking down. Does Netflix only serve original content? It's not only original content, but definitely a large part of their problem is that all of the other large content providers have basically said, oh, we can make our own streaming service, right? But I don't think it's going to go that way in the long run. For just from my own use of the streaming services, because we got a couple. Like I get HBO Max for free, and then why do I get? Oh, because we have AT&T as our phone. That's right. I think that HBO Max, Disney Plus, and Netflix will last All of these other guys like Paramount, Viacom, CBS, etc. And frankly Hulu. Hulu is crap. And the Amazon one too. Okay, now the guys at Amazon, they have a window. But based on the decisions that I've seen from Amazon so far, I don't think they're gonna make it. So I think that in the end it will be Disney Plus, HBO Max, and Netflix that survive. But once they've sorted all of that out, then you don't consider Netflix as a growth stock, then you might be able to find a place where it might be a good buy. But that might be a few years from now. So keep that in mind. This is total chaos in the port of Shanghai. It really is. Well, so riddle me this. How much of the downside action in the S&P 500 last week was really due to concerns over higher interest rates? Because the thing that I find extremely suspicious is that everything in the media was markets are concerned about higher rates, but the days that the E-mini was moving down, rates decreased. So it was like the market's selling off because of something that the Federal Reserve said. Then how come the treasuries didn't react as strongly to them? Doesn't seem to make sense to me, does it? But then we come in here this morning and it sounds like that Shanghai is doubling down or going even deeper into the whole lockdown thing. Right? And then I look at the whole complex. Seems to me that the market behavior is much more consistent with concerns over the Shanghai lockdown. Yeah, there you go. That doesn't explain oil coming down. Exactly. Why is oil coming down? That can only be because of concerns about Chinese growth. Now, let's just say that really continues to play out. It looks like it's going to. Don't you think? Like the story is basically China is all in on full lockdowns, right? It really is like if this is really what's going to go through and it really has like a significant impact on the economy too, it's kind of like a do-over of March 2020, isn't it? Well, let's say February. Are we going to get a do-over of February of 2020? Because remember, in February of 2020, it was like, well, we haven't had any cases here in the US yet, and this will just affect China. And the impact, it is a negative for global growth, but the impact that it will have on US stocks in the short and near term is probably limited, right? You remember that? You remember me saying that sort of a thing, right? So now, if we've got the same setup, the United States is already over COVID. Now, we have immunity, we've got the shots on, and I don't think that there's anybody out there that really no politician has the appetite for lockdowns anymore. So we continue to see China lock down, but it's not going to happen in the Western world. Now you have a guarantee of the scenario that we thought it was going to be originally. It's just originally we thought it was going to be because it's not going to come to the US. Now we've already dealt with it. Okay. How do you trade it? And for some reason, I feel less sure than I was in February of 2020. In February of 2020, I was like, well, I want to sell this when it's going through, but in the long run, I think that they'll recover and move higher, right? They're more sensitive to the disease because they live so close. That might be a problem. You might be right, TLA, but I don't know if they're really making the right decision though. So here's the first thing, okay? If Chinese lockdowns lead to another recession, I tell you what, that's what a better way. What a better way to really truly unite the Western world against lockdowns, right? Than for China to do it again and send us into recession again, right? Like that's going to be interesting politics. People trying to sort that one out. Like, oh, okay, now we don't like the lockdowns because they're causing us economic pain even when they don't need to, right? But in China, are they making the right decision? Well, the Chinese don't have as good of vaccines, right? They have much higher population density, so that's a problem. But here's the thing. I haven't seen any evidence to suggest that the full lockdown like what they're doing right now is really very effective when it gets out. You know? Like it was okay effective when it was in one region in China, right? When it was in one region and they completely shut that. Okay, sure. But it has gotten enough out into the population in Shanghai now that it's just like never going to go away. So are you actually just doing economic harm to yourself with no real benefit in lives lost? Like there was a study last year where they were looking at excess mortality or whatever the deal was. And they showed that Sweden's approach to the pandemic, they were the only Western country that didn't have higher excess mortality. Because they informed the public and the public went along with, what they were supposed to do. But nobody had their business shut down because of it. Right? You think they're hiding a new variant? I haven't heard anything that was not something that had even crossed my mind. So, well, TLA, I've missed this other part of TLA traders comment. It's not going to be a problem in the rest of the world. I do not think. Well, here's the thing. If the Federal Reserve has said that the risks to the economy from further COVID variants are inflationary. Remember that? And that was when the calculus changed. That was when we said, oh, we should have raised sooner and we have to raise now, even if there's other variants, right? But is what we're seeing in China inflationary? Well, it's going to be inflationary to some goods further out, yeah. But when we look at some of the bigger things like copper and oil, it's being deflationary right now, isn't it? So that sets up an awfully complicated macro framework that I'm not entirely sure what the correct play is there. But I suppose that maybe we wait for some analysts smarter than ourselves to maybe give us a few hints. Yeah. If they're having problems with growing infections again, they could just buy our vaccines. Actually, you might be right. Oh, do we have enough vaccines available though? I think that if we were gonna, I don't know if that one would happen. I think that in order for that to happen, they would have to, the U.S. would have to give China the technology, because I don't think that we have enough production capacity to get them over there. Like we would have to give them the technology, and the Chinese would have to use their facilities to make them. Right? And I'm not so sure that you want to give them that technology. Well, we did kind of get our timing period where we could have bought it, and it just didn't come back as far as I wanted, so I skipped it. Now the market is kind of saying, Seth, you should have done it. You should have done it. I don't know. You think that they'll break a new high here? Looks like they're going to do it. Well, so they're kind of doing this thing. I really hate it when this happens where it's like they step up to it, but nobody is really willing to cross the divide to buy into 25 half in the 10-year. Well, 7 lots. I think it could go, but they might be a little iffy about it at first. Well, since it's been another 30 minutes, let's kind of come in and take a pulse of the market. S&P 500 has actually kind of moved up to the higher end of its range while we've been speaking. Oil continues to be moving down. We've got the dollar still looking pretty high and moving up for most of the session here. Bitcoin having a bit of a pullback, but still looking ugly. 6J stuck in a range. Gold maybe finding a bottom and bouncing back to 1900. Up, down, or choppy? I don't know. Well, I think that if I was going to make a trade, I want to be buying the treasury. I just don't like this price. It's okay. Like if I'm gonna buy in the treasury, I would want to be getting 24 at the very least. I mean, if we're really confident, we really know that the buy is coming through, then we can buy into 25 half. I mean, look, they're coming through. The orders are coming through. But since I'm a little unsure here, the issue is that the other side of this is the options in the S&P 500, right? So here's the open. Looks like the initial volume is a sell. Well, why am I seeing so many stories about Sam Bankman-Fried now? That's weird. Okay. Treasury steps back up there to the high. They did trade into 26. Yeah, the deltas in the S&P 500 not look so hot. But they haven't broken like the downside super aggressively yet either, though. It could be a buy. Oh, I really want to buy in here, but I'm sitting here like, you don't actually know what's going to happen, Seth. You don't actually know. Don't try and click it for fun. Let's take it more seriously today in the E-mini, huh? Take it a little more seriously. Okay, there's 30. Now the low end of the overnight action is 42.20. And that appears to be where the sell side market maker positioning is too. Diablo Immortal gets imminent release date and surprise PC release. That kind of sounds like a bad thing. Do you guys care about Diablo? I'm gonna read it. I'm just gonna hold back here. The treasury is coming back a little bit. Blizzard revealed some key information about Diablo Immortal, the long-gestating mobile Diablo game meant to arrive before Diablo 4. It's been in the works for ages, and I was playing alpha tests for it. What it feels like years ago at this point. Now it has an imminent release date that's just barely over a month from now, June 2nd. Not only that, but a common request is coming to life. Diablo Immortal will get a PC release as well, which will start with an open beta at mobile launch, and progress from all versions will carry over with each other, along with there being crossplay. Hey, now you got my attention. Crossplay? Oh man, like they were at 24, they came back so quickly. They came back so quickly. That's not fun. Well, I don't like it when they do that though. Don't like it when they do that. The spoos, not as okay. I mean, they're heading down, but I kind of thought like, oh, if they're gonna crash, they're gonna come down to that low end really quickly. I don't know if that's actually happening. Some of the action, the buying here in the treasuries seems to be flight to safety volume, though, don't you think? If it's flight to safety volume, we maybe can't afford to wait for it to come all the way back, right? Yeah, in fact, it's probably way already too late for that. We could still take another stop here, though. If this is the case, so we're going to get plenty of volatility. I don't necessarily have to blow it all on today, right? On June 2nd, hell is everywhere. Well, that's going to be right when my baby is born. Guys, yeah, those big bisons in. Well, the end of 1943, it's not bad. I think the bigger thing is that they came back to 24 and they bought it back up so quickly. It's like, hey Seth, we'll give you one more chance. And then I was like, no, I want to talk about Diablo. And they're like, okay, fine. I think in the way that it's moving right now, even though I'm sensing a good deal of FOMO here, the volatility is still relatively high. So I still think I need to get a good price. Yeah, I still want to get a good price. It happens. There's 27.5. Well, 28 was the other big order, right? And they did those big orders that were resting on there. They did have to trade into them, didn't they? Okay. In the E-mini so far, pivoting higher on the 1 minute chart. I'm going to come over here. Too early to tell on the 5 minute chart, but that looks real positive. If we get above, let's come in here. If we were get this reverse doji set up sort of a thing, then maybe we'll try playing the E-mini. Yeah, there's a lot. So Nassim Taleb, from suckers who firmly believe Elon Musk is a defender of the flow of information, he has blocked me for this in March 2020, just before COVID hit the fan. I have nothing against blocking or restricting accounts, but I am not buying Twitter just because he got blocked. Come on, Nassim. But There has been some things where he has tried to manipulate information, right? But that wasn't that's you just trying to do what you can do within the system, right? It's very different from you get to set up the rules of this system. Hmm. Well, let's reset that. 2.8 now. Yeah, when I get like this, it's kind of frustrating because it'll just go and go and go without me. Okay. So there's this booze kind of crossing the divide there. But then quickly coming back down, like, okay, we'll get Seth in and then we're gonna go back down to the lows. We shall see. At this I don't know. If this ends up being a loser over here in the E-mini, then we can just laugh about it because it's a sim trade. Because, like, if it falls apart, it could be pretty ugly. You know what? While we're sitting here, like, not that many contracts have gone off in the micros either. Yeah, plenty of opportunity to have already been short the micros, but we just didn't take it. Maybe Elon Musk won't be like a pure defender of free speech, but he's going to be better than the person that's in there right now. Come on. Okay, so this pullback in the bonds here on pretty light volume seems a little different though. Over there in the treasuries, they have to consider the possibility that the S&P 500 is going to try and pop here today, because if the S&P 500 tries to pop, it kind of changes the calculus for the treasuries a little bit, doesn't it? Because there's still this idea out there that the Federal Reserve is going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until the market breaks. So I kind of feel like the market already kind of broke to some extent, don't you think? I don't know. Next 2 weeks in the treasuries is going to be tense because we don't get any more comments from the central banks. I think I can. I know I can. I think I can. I know I can. The little E-mini that could. No, maybe. It's looking okay. It's looking okay. We still got a. Well, actually on the 5-minute chart, we didn't actually get a pivot higher. If they had closed above 42.45, then we would have, but we didn't. But we didn't, so they. But they didn't, so we didn't. There was lots of earnings reports last week. But we get Twitter is today, isn't it? Twitter is today. There's plenty of important ones to come. I should be paying a little bit more attention to the 30-year because it seems to be pushing. The 10-year hasn't really gone, but you're already getting 5 ticks. When you look at the chart, this last leg looks like a really solid trend, but the tape itself has been a little bit more disorganized than the chart suggests. Kind of curious. I'm surprised here, though, seeing the yields come back, that we're not seeing gold come up. I guess that's just got to be because the dollar is so strong right now. Forex Live tweets U.S. broad index is trading lower for fourth consecutive day. Well, they're still working it out. Give them some time, man. Give them some time, my man. You bought some CL at the lows? I don't know about it. Well, that might be working out well for you so far, but I don't know. It seems like the best trade is FOMO into the treasuries, right? And I'm too afraid to do it. You gotta give me a good price, my man. Come on. The liquidity situation is better, so I feel a little bit more confident in trying to take a trade in here, but I just don't feel good about trying to trade the low of it. Let's watch this E-mini thing play out. You think they're going to break the lows? Oh, they're heading there. They're heading there. And as it happens, you can see some buying coming into the treasuries. Okay. No. Let's flat this. And go the other way. Oh, of course, that's going to be exactly where there's the pushback, huh? Yeah. I already don't like the way it's going there in the E-mini. I already don't like it. It's not like tremendous absorption, but they are trading bigger amounts down in this area. Right? Like you can see the pushback. They pushed to a new regular session low, and there's some pushback there. You got in exactly when I got in. Yes, just the other. That's interesting. Well, I'm not very good at reading the flow in ES these days. It seems like there's kind of some key differences between how it flows in ES and how it flows in the treasuries that I've never been able to quite sort out. And like you can get into the groove in the ES, but it's just a harder thing to trade in general anyways. Ukrainian presidential advisor says Russia continues to attack Mariupol steel plant where fighters are holed up. Okay. And if there's anybody listening, which there's not, that are in that Ukrainian steel plant, we're all with you. Someday they'll make movies about you, and I'll be really excited to go watch that movie. But it's a sad thing that's happening there. Okay, well, there is some pushback here in the ES, but it's pretty aggressive selling too. So now your issue is you got 120 above us, right? They're going to trade in. Ooh, they're trading into that pretty aggressively. Yeah. Oh, 600 only. And there's some iceberging there at 31.5 though. Some iceberging at 31.5. Given the action, this one right here is probably not a bad trade. They're definitely doing the level break setup here. I'm actually kind of half tempted to risk my live account for that one. I think I will not. It would be way too much margin. Down 2 ticks. Your eyes are burning? Oh yeah, well it's Ramadan, huh? Dude, so I had to take the kids to church this morning. They're doing like a morning study sort of thing. And just going outside, like I got something on my eye. It was like burning. And it's still watering a little bit more than usual. My allergies are just insane, man. What I need is I need goggles. Yeah, I need goggles like uh, allergy goggles. Is that a thing? You know? And maybe they can have like really heavy filters so that air can still get in. I don't know. For allergies. Well, look at that. Good little slip back up there in ES. So far in the S&P 500, it looks like it's kind of playing the chop game, right? They go back up to 42, 45, and then maybe they flip back down. It's possible. Liquidity in the 10-year is starting to do something weird. Wow. How much am I willing to risk on this? It's a sim trade, of course, but... Well, these two sim trades don't make me feel very comfortable with trying to take a live trade in the micros. You were wearing swimming goggles for protection. It's a confidence move. Well, I mean, I don't know if it would actually work. Don't know if it would actually work. You get those goggles like that they make for Burning Man, right? For the sand. You can see this eye is trying to squint a little bit more, I think. Okay, well this pullback that we're getting in the treasury was a little bit more serious of a pullback though. When it starts to do this up at a high, that's not necessarily a good sign. I think that guy at 120 will eventually get filled, but hmm. See, it's looking. So I think if the S&P 500 breaks the low here again, that this could turn into a, all right, it's a bear day, that sort of a thing. Look at them. Look at that volume come in when it comes, especially here in the micros. They were selling that. They was selling that. Yeah. No, they. Whoa. Okay. Well, yes, just knows how to keep it interesting, doesn't it? It's like when you shake someone's hand too strong. Okay, so some orders hitting somewhat impulsively into 31.5 in the treasury. Let's see if they take out the big order at 12 and stop through or not now. And does seem to be moving with some correlation to the S&P 500 again. So, I think that the treasuries are vulnerable to short covering in general right now, but it seems like the primary driver is flight to safety, which means that you can get some really aggressive and impulsive order flow on the way up. It was, I was really wrong about one thing when I said, well, it's been volatile enough that I think you still want to be careful about what price you get. Well, we could get some pullbacks here and everything, but that trend up was really strong, right? So we probably could have tried going as she goes anywhere along there and have been okay. Okay, the E-mini did break a new low there, and they are lower than the regular session now as well. Oh, actually, they stopped just short of the extended session low, which was like 44.18. Or sorry, 42.18. But you can see there's still some fight in it, right? Oh, look at that big old order now. Huh. Oh, now that's interesting. So now that the Treasury, it looks like they did fill them at 120 even, because 67 is traded there now. I didn't see it happen, but they didn't stop through. They did not stop through. So now there is a big order at 31 kind of holding them up. So when I see that sort of a thing, I start to get a little suspicious. I'm going to exit that. I do not like that. That seems unnecessary to me. Somebody's involved here in the market, that's for sure. I mean, the liquidity is a lot better now. See if a seller steps in. I do kind of wonder. So there's some pretty nasty like volume deltas that could continue to push us down in the S&P 500, but I think it's somewhere below 4,200. Maybe it's 4,150, where at that point it becomes very, very difficult for them to continue moving it. So it could be that we get a third down day that reverses at some point, but the volume in the ES continues to be down despite like that fight. Like there's the push of the extended session range, right? It was it was a fight there. So I don't know. It's funny how much that spoofing in the, I don't know if I'm gonna call it spoofing, but those large orders in the treasuries like really changed my desire. Like as soon as I saw that, I'm like, I don't think I want to play that game. I don't think I want to play that game. Why don't you come back down to 28 again, and then maybe we'll play. Then maybe we'll play again. Because it's starting to look like you're messing with it. You're messing with it in an area where I would expect them to kind of go sideways for a bit, right? Yeah, there's some buyers there still, though. Hmm. So they've traded 10K at 120, but it continues to go over. So I'm just getting a lot of signs that this is not not the best place to mess around in. You think humans can say the algos? I don't think that humans can compete with market making algos for the spread. No, not in a mature market. You want to beat the algos, you got to play a different game, right? And that other game can be awfully challenging sometimes. Well, I'm finding it challenging today, that's for sure, because I've been watching it. I never took a trade. Yeah, part of it is that I'm a lot less um likely to take a trade on a Monday because I've had problems with Mondays in the past, you know? But I mean it's 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. We could still get one like later in the day, but I'm at the moment I'm kind of thinking that I'm not gonna take any trades in the micros today. So we can just continue to watch this trade in the S&P 500 fall through. Am I unfocused? Meh. Yeah, you're right. I didn't I could have watched the treasuries a little bit more closely, and if I had really been zeroed in on it, I think that I would have eventually FOMO'd in. I don't know if that FOMOing in would have been good, but I would have made money from it. Oh, I'm hearing something about bringing cryptocurrency assets into regulatory purview. Corn taking off here, by the way. This move higher in the treasury has been accompanied by a move higher in the Japanese yen. Guess that's good. So there's kind of this scary situation over with the Japanese yen where the central bank in Japan has to capitulate and raise rates, and that could like cause some real problems for us over here in our markets that might kill some of our demand and push our rates even higher. But today, the Japanese yen seems to be staging a recovery, which is good. Are cryptos regulated by the SEC same as we? Well, there's some competition, I guess you could say, over how it should be. The reality here is that it's long overdue that Congress needs to make a law. Congress needs to do their job and regulate cryptocurrencies, but they wouldn't have to do very much. They'd just have to say, yeah, cryptocurrencies are governed by the same rules that all other investments are. Okay, they're stepping up to 120 again. They're gonna do. I'm seeing some. How do I put it? Some excitement in the 5-year, at least. Here, let's reset it again. There we go. Hey, 5-year wants to hit into new highs. The liquidity is kind of backed off in the 10-year. I still see a bit of a liquidity hole, though. I mean, look at those 30K is traded at 31.5. Seth, you monster, I'm going to report you to the Libertarian Party. Good. You know, something that I find really disheartening is that oftentimes the people that are going to be the general, because the people that I really want to be interested in my content are you guys, the people that are trading, right? But probably the next group of people that I think would be most interested in talking about this sort of stuff is libertarians. And libertarians are just wrong about so many different things that I'm always going to say something that they hate, you know? You know what it is, though, is it's not their principles. It's that it's dogmatic. I was watching this thing by Jordan Peterson on TikTok. Well, you know, it always shows me stuff all the time, but it was a Jordan Peterson video, and he was saying that in his opinion, activism was always bad because like it's good to be like involved and engaged and criticize institutions, and you know, they can become correct and fighting against them and things like that. But activism kind of presupposes that there's a certain group of people that are wrong and you're right, and so on and so forth, and that's always kind of problematic. I think he was making a really good point. And I feel like that the Libertarian Party has a little bit too much of a we're right and they're wrong kind of mentality to it. There's just too many things that they believe about economics that just aren't accurate. The reality is so much more complicated than they want it to be, fortunately. And they would like there to be a frontier where you can just do anything you want. And well, that's Bitcoin right now, and you can see how that's turning out. I don't think that it's turning out very well for the average person. Yes, please regulate it. Are going to be more at 120? Come on. Oh, maybe. No. It really looked like it was going to break there for a second, but it didn't go. The 5-year went. The 5-year went, but the 10 and the 30 have not. Do you think liquidity holes are the cause or the outcome? I guess they're kind of both to an extent, right? I think that in terms of a liquidity hole, it's the liquidity hole is a great place to exit, right? Like just think about if you had been long the treasury this whole time, right? Where do you take it off? Because what happens if you come up here like what I had, where I had an order at 120.00 half and they didn't fill me? So why did I take it off? Well, because I could see that the liquidity hole was just below 120. So for as short a term of a trade as I was trying to make that into, that's too much. I'm going too far out of the liquidity hole. So, but if I was trying to get filled at 31.5, like, oh my gosh, you could just get filled there easy, right? So that they make a really good location to exit a trade. And if you're trading like a big lot, you're trading large amounts, that would make it a great place to take your trade off, right? But what makes the moves happen isn't the liquidity holes. The liquidity holes kind of affect what the moves do, but what causes the moves is the meta orders. So you know that a meta order is going to come in, and then if you understand what the liquidity looks like at that time, you can game out pretty well how it's going to play out. So today we've seen about 20,000 contracts long, which is a lot, by the way. But they've built a really deep liquidity hole at 120. So there's a pretty good chance that they're going to come back at least to 28. You don't want to trade 28 though, because this meta order could keep pushing, but like they could slip out another run, right? But the most likely is they come back here. Well, they're going to sit here again for probably a little bit longer still. Probably until the bottom of the hour. We might go sideways here till the bottom of the hour. Then there might be a pushback. If there is a pushback in the meta orders, it's going to come back pretty hard. That's why I said like 28, maybe even back to 24, but probably more likely 28, right? Then we find out, is the meta order still out there? And it could be. It could be. Oh, it was ECB's Panetta that said we need a global effort to bring crypto assets into the regulatory purview. Yeah. See, the issue with that one is, can the cryptocurrency ecosystem really continue on if it's under regulatory purview? Hmm. Isn't it just nuts how you can have such a strong uptrend in the treasury, and then all of the sudden it can't even move 2 ticks because of the liquidity? Well, there you go. Do you like the ES trade? It's not looking very good right now, is it? I haven't had too much luck in the S&P 500 lately. I think what I'm doing over there is just kind of like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if something sticks, right? Like here at this spot right here, it seems like we could swing back down and push the lows of the day again quite easily and get to 4,200. But I still see a possibility that they flip back up, break 4,240, and it turns into a bull day, I can't really say for sure. Don't when another thing I think is that it seems like that the options are having a bigger impact on what the ES is doing than the ES volume is. The other thing is that the conditions in the ES are just changing so quickly. Look at how easily it flipped back down there. They haven't broken kind of some of the downside levels yet, but you think the bulk of the move already happened? That might be right. The one thing I'm still looking at is like that 4,200. It seems odd to me that we would move the way that we have the last 2 days and not tag 4,200. Biden tweeting about the VA. Yeah, okay, now they're definitely pushing. Now they're heading to the lows. We'll see if they break a new low or not. I definitely read that where the liquidity hole happened in the 10-year. Well, if only I could say that I had taken a long before that. They're pushing for more fries? Is that what it means when they go for the lows? And there's stops, is that there are fries? It's like all of the longs are the fries, and it's like breaking into a no low is like dipping them into the vat of oil. Looks like I've dropped a few frames today. I need to go take a look through my computer. It seems like their performance is not what it should be. Tim Carney, what are you afraid Elon will do to Twitter to make it worse? Here's what I think that Elon will do to Twitter. I think that he will change the verification program to allow anybody to verify with their driver's license. So everybody will be verified. Blue check marks, BTFO. I think that's the first big change that he'll do. And he'll unban people. He won't here's the thing. He won't just unban Donald Trump, he'll unban Nero. Or what is that guy's name? Remember his name was Nero? He'll unban him. Then things will really get interesting. Again. Because that guy was always good for some drama on Twitter. This could be a problem because back in those days, I didn't watch Twitter as closely, but I watch it way more closely in these days. I don't want to get sucked into the drama too much. Like the whole Will Smith, Chris Tucker thing, or not Tucker. Anyways, that was like just the right amount of drama. Oh, whoa. What the what? Well, I just missed something, man. Bonds just slam higher by 6, 7, 8. Well, I think it was more like 8 ticks all at once there. And I'm just kind of sitting here talking about Will Smith like a fool. I've not seen something like that before. To be like they come into the liquidity hole, looks like it's kind of coming back, and then all of a sudden slams up into new highs just like that. No news. There has to have been some news there. I do see ECB's cost decisions made by the ECB are a continuation of policy normalization. There's that. Darn. Well, the 10-year went. The 30-year did not, which means that if I had been short in the micros, I wouldn't have really made any money from it. But that was not so. That was like 10,000 contracts just went off all at once. So with a move like that and a liquidity hole below us, I don't want to risk that one, right? Because I actually think, well, I don't know. I don't know what the piece of news is. Depending on the news, that could be the sort of thing that continues to go. But that liquidity hole is going to put a lot of gravity to it, right? And if there isn't continued buying action, they could drop it back down even harder. Yeah, it's some mental price action. There you go. You mean mental like it's crazy. Like not like it's messing with my head. That was crazy. Cat turd just woke up. Twitter to accept Elon Musk's original offer. Wow, that's all he has to say. Thank you for contributing to the conversation, Cat Turd. We appreciate your presence on Twitter. We do though. Just that one particular tweet, we probably could have done without. 120.00 half. See, it is coming back. Like this is exactly the thing I'm worried about. Is like a move like that is going to leave a big hole behind it, and there was already a hole behind it at 120. That's not one that I want to trade. That is not one that I want to trade. Maybe here it might be worth doing the absorption at the semen of the crime sort of a trade. Oh, was the Activision Blizzard pre-market release a surprise? Okay. Officials in Beijing will require the people who reside or work in Chaoyang, the city's main business district, to undergo 3 COVID-19 tests this week. The 30 is pushing lower there. What was the bottom of this for the 30? 27? I gotta tell you, that sort of a thing usually doesn't happen unless there's news. If there's not news and it's just somebody stopping out or whatever, I think it would have to be a stop out. There's no way that you would enter into a new trade like that. Not if you're smart. Not if you're smart. I don't know. Trump torches Biden. He's taking orders from the Easter Bunny. Hey, listen, if Joe Biden was taking orders from the Easter Bunny, the nation would probably be doing pretty good, actually. That's I don't know what it is, man. I like something's changed in Trump, man. I don't know how to put it. It used to be like everything he said was gold. And even if you didn't agree with him, it was always going to be like the maximum amount of controversy and stuff. Since losing the last election, he's just lost his groove, man. He's just lost his groove. Let's see our news. Siena poll in New York. If Hochul wins the primary for governor and is the Democratic candidate for governor in 2022, as things stand now, how would you vote? Hochul 40, someone else 45. Trump nowadays is like the bear from Woody. No, I don't know. I don't know. I've never watched Woody Woodpecker. There's a bear in that show? I thought that the show was just Woody Woodpecker making that silly laugh, and that was it. Now you're telling me there's a bear? Oh, like the mini digging their way out there. Well, I'm tired of this e-mini trade. It wasn't a bad spot to enter into a trade, but it's just not going well like what I wanted it to, you know? Yeah, that doesn't look very good. That doesn't look very good. Flat. I could flip back around and go long now. Why the hell not? Why the hell not? Right here. 1, 2, 3. There's the open. Well, them getting above the open, that should turn them pretty positive. Okay, so the Treasury returned back to the hole. I'm a little bit concerned now, though, about if it was flight to safety pushing the Treasury up, and I'm not sure. I only kind of felt like that we would be vulnerable to short covering rallies, but if it was really flight to safety that was driving us, and the S&P 500 is really truly going to turn up, I mean, there's still some key points that they're going to want to get through for us to really feel confident that this is a strong uptrend. Kind of looks like that the treasuries could fall down as the E-mini turns bullish. Are you linking to something again? I don't think that you have permissions. I'll look it up. I can just search for it. Oh, what the heck? Which bear are we? There's actually a bunch of bears it's showing. You must be talking about this bear. My gosh, you must be talking about this bear. Gosh dang it. Did you notice how it's like wherever it is that I get in the S is where they start toying with? I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong. What? It's a video? Okay. That's good. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. No, I think that Donald Trump is saying, here's what I think. I think that Donald Trump is trying to say stuff to raise his profile again, to possibly run for make another run for office. But his since becoming president, his what do you say, like his finger on the pulse of the American public opinion on things is warped now. It's like what he says is geared way too much towards the Trump hardcore fanatics, which, you know, there was a time when it was like all Republicans. Now it's just like crazy people, to be frank with you. No offense if you're really into Donald Trump right now, but there's not very many people out there that think about Donald Trump, how much they like Donald Trump every day anymore. There are not very many of those people, right? And the ones that are have some pretty weird views about things. And so he keeps saying things that maybe might appeal to his base, but it's not like what it was before. Before it was like every Republican he'd say the thing and they'd be like, yes, this that. Now it's like, what are you talking about? The Easter bunny? The Easter's a good thing. We like Easter and we like the Easter bunny, supposedly. So for there's that. So remember that. So have you ever seen that South Park episode about the Easter bunny? And like Stan's dad is part of some cult that worships the Easter bunny or something. Oh my gosh. I want to go watch that. I didn't know. That one was crazy. That one was crazy. No, but I just, everything that all of the major quotes that I hear from Trump, it's like, first of all, he doesn't tweet them out. So that's a part of it, is like, we're only getting it secondhand. But then when it does come out, it's like, it just falls like a thud for me. You know? Yeah, maybe I could get into another Donald Trump presidential run if what he was saying was actually like, but I feel like he's lost his touch. It's like, did the world change or did he change? What do you think? Because I think it's kind of a little bit of both. Now they're at 30. Do you see what I'm talking about, guys? We could have reversed that, frankly. I don't want to reverse that on a day where we had some pretty strong trend. I don't really like going against the trend, but that's the sort of thing that could set you up for a strong reversal, right? So you have a liquidity hole, you have a really impulsive move beyond the liquidity hole that fizzles out really quickly. Then you're going to fall back into the liquidity hole, and now you've got all of these people that were long. Heck, we could even maybe think about going long at where we're at right now, 795. You might get a pullback. It might make more sense to try and go long down in here. Especially if we could get 785, that'd be awesome. He was a mediocre president? I think that he tried hard. He took a lot of risks. But in the long run, well, I don't know. It's a weird thing because Donald Trump's presidency will almost surely be seen as a major inflection point in history. But maybe not necessarily because of Donald Trump's policies, huh? Kind of weird. I got to tell you, they were doing a lot of good things, and they were making some attempts to address some other things. I think the reality of it was that Congress is still just a little bit too mixed. But then you also had this thing where like Republican leadership was like actively working against him. You know, that thing, looking back on that, it just makes me even more mad because let's just say that you're right. You're one of those anti-Trump Republicans, right? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that you're right. Donald Trump's not a very good president. We don't want him in anymore. It wouldn't have mattered what Republicans had done at that time. Donald Trump probably still wouldn't be president. Donald Trump is no longer president because his style of leadership was not appealing to people in the midst of a pandemic. And he would not let go of some of his thoughts about the pandemic. All he had to do was say, it's something it's a problem when we're still concerned about it or whatever. Like, all he had to do was express empathy for you're all locked down and everything. And he wouldn't do it. That's all he had to do, and he probably could have won. You know, that's why he lost. To be frank. So the Republicans all pushing against him was like nonsense. They could have pushed through more legislation. They could have done more. They could have gotten rid of Obamacare as the big one. I can't believe that they didn't fix that. The Republicans didn't do squat. Makes me, yeah, kind of makes you wonder. Okay, Democrats are going to get pummeled in the next election, right? Republicans will have a majority in Congress. Whoop-de-doo. What does that really mean? The Democrats can't pass any of their crazy policies, which guess what? They couldn't pass any of their crazy policies anyways. So nothing changes, does it? Until one party of Congress really truly gets a solid 60% majority in the Senate, everything is at a standstill, isn't it? I think you're more likely to see progress from the Republicans if they get it than from the Democrats, because the things that the Democrats want to do are crazy, and power holders will do everything in their power to stop it. Okay, so we're back to 928. The change in cumulative delta is about equal to the change in cumulative delta that we had from that impulsive buying. So, if we believe that the direction of the action in the Treasury is still up, here at 28 would be a prime location to try and sell yield. But I believe that what's going on here is the S&P 500 is driving the action primarily. The S&P 500 is turned up. They haven't broken the highs yet. They still need to break 42.55 as kind of the next benchmark. But that kind of looks like I don't want to mess with that. So now, can we go long in here? Maybe, especially if they gave me like 2.79. I could maybe think about going long. But given the time, it's 8:36. I don't know if that. I think that we should just continue to babysit this S&P 500 trade and hope that we make like 4,000 off of it. Because if we do that, then I look like a genius in the end. Actually, I don't even need to make that much off of it. I'm down 1,500, down 1,600. I only need another 700. At least Trump's presidency was trying to push enough to an extent. People were brought to the center. You know, some crazy Democrats were being taken seriously before him. Well, I don't know if that had anything to do with Donald Trump. You know, one of the things that I see, kind of sentiments that I hear out there about politics that I'm not so sure. I'm not going to go as far as to say that I like outright disagree with it, but some people think that like Donald Trump brought the crazy out of the Democrats and like made them go crazy, and that Donald Trump essentially made the left become more radical. But I do not agree with that. I think that the Democrat Party has been on a collision course with radicalism from 2008. Like, the reality is that Obama was revered by the left for reasons, but that he was not the radical redesign the American system guy that the Bernie Sanders spin far leftists want. And that's why you would have things like Occupy Wall Street. Like, remember, Occupy Wall Street kind of happened while Obama was president. What's with that? Right? And that was a far, far left movement. Right? far left movement that the American public, once they realized what was going on, kind of rejected. So you go where I'm going. So I think that what you're seeing in the Democrat Party is just like the natural evolution of things and didn't really have anything to do with Donald Trump. Donald Trump was really a reaction to the growing power of the left, if anything. Obama was okay, really. The thing that is always interesting about these sorts of things too is that the biggest impacts that these presidents have is often very subtle, you know? Like with Obama, the key thing with Obama was that the changes that he made to economic policy led to slower but more consistent growth. Maybe that's better, maybe that's not. But with the way that the debt is and everything else, it kind of set us up in a bad position, didn't it? And remember, we're like, I don't know. It seems like you can't really take on much more. There was something really like some natural disaster pushed us into a recession. It could be really bad, and then that happened, and like the world didn't fall apart. But maybe it's too early to call, because if the pandemic really breaks the financial system, it's not going to break down all at once. It's going to be a slow thing, and that, I would keep an eye out that the pandemic is going to have impacts on the economy and the world for decades, you know? But that was one of the biggest impacts that Obama had. And then when Donald Trump came in, he changed all of those rules, and like there was like growth up the wazoo, and they changed the tax rule, and that was really good for the market, right? It's just none of it stayed. Well, some of it stayed. But the first thing the Democrats want to do is get rid of all that. S&P 500, pretty good run. Pretty good run up towards the highs, but they did not break a new high, and they're coming right back to this range thing. I'm wondering if it's kind of starting to look like the S&P 500 just can't develop any trend today. Wow. I just looked and was slugged $162 for currency conversion fees this month. Looking at earlier months of my account, amount comes around to 5 to 15 usually. That is really ugly. Wish I had a president like Obama here. He is too far right for ours, I guess. Yeah. Well, here's the other thing about Obama, if I can say. He was a good executive. Like, he understood the job and he enjoyed it. And he eventually got into the groove of it, you could say. And I think that it seems to me that if you're a president and you can handle the administrative parts of the job, you're not going to do too bad. And I think that that's what happened with Obama. Perhaps that's why he never went for some of the more extreme moves that the left wanted him to do, but I don't know. If Obama, let's say that Obamacare, didn't destroy the Democrats' dominance over Congress, right? And Obama was able to continue to do whatever he wanted. Would he have gone far left? Maybe. kind of suspect that maybe he would have, but well, I'm really sick of my read. Well, you know what? I don't have any read in ES. The reality is that my S&P 500 trades, I am just dinking around and putting orders in when I feel like it, and it just never works out. That's what's going on there. Now in the Treasury, I have a little bit better of a read, and I'm kind of looking at it like, well, 2.95 is not too bad if I want to go short yield, especially if the S&P 500 turns south again. Anyways, the real question is who leads the United States after this? Because as far as I can tell, Joe Biden's presidency is over. Like here's the crazy thing about Joe Biden, right? Is that Joe Biden could run for a second term and win again, and his presidency would still be over. Like that's how unpopular he is right now. They can't get anything done. They can't get anything done. What's going on here in Jigsaw? I hate it when I get those, like the notifications, like that somebody said your name, but it wasn't actually your name. It was, they were talking to the channel as a whole, sort of a thing. Yep, and everyone. Hate that crap. Hate that crap. Don't give me notifications to that. Oh, wait. Oh my gosh, I wish I had seen that earlier. So my video about trading, I totally forgot. I put a video out today about how to use trading discords. Okay. Mainly as like how to use our trading discord. And oh, I didn't put the link in there. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so dumb, guys. Okay, wait. I gotta find it. Here. Okay, so first I've got to go and modify the video. Jeez, guys. $11 views. Edit video. Didn't really fill the details out. Okay. Okay, so treasure is still sitting here. Actually, the 30-year fell back down a little bit, which kind of I think that kind of kills my aspirations for maybe a trade before we leave here. Yeah. Here, I want to go and grow my hair out just because he's saying that. What Pete said was, we should not agree. We shouldn't lose our minds when presented with an alternative opinion. Like, for example, if Speculator Seth came to me claiming to have a full head of hair, I would politely disagree, and we could discuss the issue on its merits, like how shiny his head is. I think that a person that is low in agreeableness is actually going to be less likely to be offended, but it's everybody else that comes in. So I am not that I am easily offended, and Jacob in Discord says, "Speak for yourself." Oh man. I'm glad you guys sharing that link around. Happy link. Here's the link. Make sure after the video, I'll post it again when we close, but here's today's video. To be honest with you, it's a little bit of a throwaway. Was like, I don't think that a ton of people are going to watch that, but there's some things I was seeing in Discord and stuff that I was like, yeah, now's a good time to kind of talk about this because, a lot of people, I think, utilize these tools wrong. So let's do it. Let's make a video about it. Next week, I think, is going to be the beginner video for. I'm going to redo the getting started in features. I recorded it. I remember thinking I felt like it wasn't enough, but I think it was. I don't know. I have to edit. I'll edit it. We'll see where it is. I need to get writing. I'm starting to have so many ideas again. Remember when I was like, okay, guys, all of the main things we've done. So now we need to go back and make more general audience videos and stuff. But what has been happening is that I'm realizing oh, there's all of this absolute noob stuff that I never covered. What is the bond market? What are you looking? There are things that I talk about on the stream all the time when people ask, but I never actually made a video about. So I started writing something about that one. Could be useful. You might want to dim the lights. I heard people get snow blindness. If we ever go to a next time there's a Trader Expo or anything like that, I'll be sure to polish my head extra nice. Do you think? Well, that's interesting. Why did I not reset my DOM? They were at 27.5. Oh, no. The lowest they went was 28. I don't know why I never reset my DOM. Boot polish or baby powder are my go-tos. I don't have a forehead. It's more like a 6 or something. And it shines like the North Star. Yeah, you gotta. But you got to get lotion that is mattifying lotion is what you need. Haven't put that on today though. Yeah, we're doing okay. There's a little bit. There's that part right there. Shiny. That's what we try and get rid of in the videos. At the moment though, it doesn't look like the flow is reversing. Like if the flow reversed, this is where we're like, oh yeah, we could get a short here, right? Doesn't look like the flow is reversing. It looks like the flow is just getting sucked back into the hole. Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me? We got like a few minutes left. We were laughing about some stuff that was going on in the Jigsaw Discord room. No, it looks like we're getting sucked back into the liquidity hole. I just came back from the store. Yeah, you didn't miss too much. I think I should have taken the reversal trade here. I'm thinking back on it, and I'm like, I was really confident that it was going to come back here. I really should have taken it and made $10, but I don't know. In the past, I kind of don't go for those trades because I feel like they're not worth it. But I think that one was like so likely that what the hell? Can you see it? Are you in the? Oh, you're probably not in the Jigsaw room. It's like and it's the main members channel too. A nice push. It was just like that was a setup where I think the things that we know about the stylized behavior of markets and liquidity, it gives us a very rare setup where I think that just based off of the technicals, we have a really high probability of predicting what's going to happen. The only issue with that setup was that we really don't know what caused that strong impulse of buying. And, that could have been a piece of news and then other headlines came out and it pushed us further and it would have been ugly. So I don't want to act like there was like no risk on that one, but we were able to call that out almost to a T. And now that we've come back to the 120 even, or even just a little bit above it, the trade doesn't look so hot. In fact, I'm kind of wondering if it doesn't make sense to try and go short yield here again, because the larger pressure on the day, especially in the 5 years, still appears to be up. And it looks a lot stronger on the 30 and the 5 than it does the 10. And 7-9 isn't so terrible either. Are you sure a lot are thinking about fading the move? I think the issue is that the key determining factor here is the S&P 500, right? And I think we can pretty clearly see that I don't have much of an ability to predict what the S&P 500 is going to do right now. It's been, what is it's not trending, and so that's my problem over here in ES is like when it goes into a loser and then I give up, and I could have taken some profits on them. That's what's going on over there. So if we're gonna do this in ES, let's just flat this out and kind of like readjust here and be like, okay, if we took one, I think that I would want to take it more in the 42.10s. $7.9 makes sense. 7.85, you might be able to get away with. Depends on. I mean, to do 7.85 to sell 7.85 here, I think I'd have to be expecting to break the highs. I'm not going to trade it. I'm going to work today. Work, and if I have extra time today, I'm going to. I got some things to work on. So, but it does look like it could go. It does look like the treasury could break a new high. One thing for sure, it takes a lot of brain power to figure this stuff out. Yeah. I think that, Mondays are always hard anyways, but yeah, we're in those situations. Sometimes we have a macro driver, or even something that we know that is just like not priced into the market, and so we have a really good idea of what direction it's going to be going in generally, and if we can just read the liquidity right, then it should be easy, right? Right now, I think that we're in a situation where we have a high probability of large moves. There's a lot of volatility in the market, but I'm not so sure. I don't feel like I have any such edge. Excuse me. I don't feel like I have that edge right now. I don't feel like I have that edge right now. It's probably better to be sitting on my hands right now because even though it seems like there's a lot going on and stuff, it's going to be when they sort everything out is going to be the bigger trade anyways. I can only hope that it ends up being a long again in the ES because see the big bellers start selling risk off, and I don't know. The thing is that the buy that we had here from like what the last hour in the S&P 500 was really strong. It's really strong. In the treasury, your issue is here's your liquidity hole, right? Or on the outside breaking out. So you're taking a trade in anticipation that they're going to go and bust the highs. That's super speculative to do that. If when we were down here and we were getting like 2.08, then it made a lot more sense, right? Should have done that one. But at that time, I was kind of more concerned about could they go lower? That one doesn't seem to be working out. But again, it seems like where we're going, you want to just come back here to the charts, when we look at the pivots, right? It's very correlated with the S&P 500. When this was at its low, the S&P 500 was at its high. When we made this big move here, it was because the S&P 500 was falling. So that means that we could see continued movement. We could see the treasuries push to highs as the S&P 500 pukes, but it could also flip around and just keep chopping us all day. And maybe that chopping us all day is more likely to happen. Yeah. Well, I'm going to name the title of today's thread, My Head is Shiny. There you go. And make sure you guys, check out our video. Here's our video for today. So go check that out. It's about Discord. I will see you guys tomorrow. Looks like we're going to have there's going to be plenty of trading opportunities the next 2 weeks, I think. So I don't think I have to feel too bad about missing stuff today. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.